Rev up your engines! Here we have a typical problem. The driver's window went down and wouldn't come back up. Now in an emergency, the plastic garbage bag will keep water out. Well, mainly we had a big storm and some of them came in. But let's face it, you can't drive like this. You can see in front, but you can't see anything going on the side. So not a safe way to drive around. Now many things can do this, but let's start it up. Check a few of them. Okay, the driver one's broken. What about the other side? That's working. The rear one, it's working. This one, it's working, but this one's broken. So what does that mean? Well, that means the fuse isn't blown because there's only one fuse for the whole thing. 3 of them work, this one doesn't. Now we can see here, it goes down, but look, it's stuck. It's supposed to go up and down. It's stuck. So that means the switch itself is broken. So no problem. Later we're going to take the door apart, get the new switch. It should fix the whole thing. I mean, you never know with electrical stuff. Could be the motor burned out and burn out the switch, but we know the switch is broken. Well, the first thing you do is take all this plastic bag junk off. At least enough so it's accessible. Then while slamming the door open and shut, we're going to turn on the car, pull up the switch, and hope it'll go up one more time. Well, if first you don't succeed, try again. Now we're going to try a little bit of needle nose pliers, because as you can see, there's a lip here that we can grab. I can pull it up a little, but alas, it only goes so far. It goes up a little, but not far enough. So in this case, the switch is just completely falling apart and it's not doing anything. The other ones work, but it's going to need a new switch. Inside here, you pop out the little cover, then they have these stupid heads on here, so you need a special tool. Yeah, absolute Chrysler morons. They can't use a Phillips head screwdriver, right? They gotta use these special ends, so you need special tools. But being a mechanic, I got all that crap. Here we go. Everyone known the man. Well, I'm guessing the T15, and what do you see? Did I guess right? Yes, the T15 torque. So with the right one in, we just unscrew the two. There's one, there's the other. Then as you can see, the whole stupid thing slides out. Here's the switch assembly. The assembly itself, snaps right off. You just pull these tangs, off it comes. You don't have to buy the whole piece. And you don't even have to take the door apart, just the top. Then you unplug these and put a new one in. They just snap out of the holes, and you buy this whole assembly. So here we go with a new part. We'll see if it works. So we'll snap it together. Pretty easy to do. They just snap in place. There's one, and there's the other. We can hear it going up and down, but it's still sticking. Now we can hear it. It's making noises, but the window regulator's broken too. Even when I hold it up with pliers, when I turn the switch, it won't go up, because the window regulator motor assembly's broken too. Just goes to show what crap these Dodges are. Everything's broken on it. The switch was obviously broken because it wasn't doing anything. Now it's sending power, but the motor regulator assembly's broken too. These are just rolling piles of junk, these cars. You got a choice? Believe me, don't buy one. As you can see, the motor regulator assembly's all plastic crap. Well, since that's going to cost a small fortune more than the 98 bucks for the switch, the customer decides he's going to have me take the door apart, and I'm going to remove the motor assembly and just put the window up and clamp it in place, so at least we'll have the window up in the air. So I'm going to take the door apart. Take this off. The only thing we got to do is unplug this. That's off. Then the rest snaps off. Literally, it does snap apart. Up it goes. And off. And here's the stupid motor assembly. This one isn't a T15, this one's a T27, but it's the same thing, it unscrews. And once you unscrew the 3 screws, you just pry the motor off. And you can see all the inside stuff is broken. So rather than replace all this crap, we're just going to get it back up in the air. But first we need wire clippers, and we're going to cut all the wires that are broken and get them out of the way. Now normally I use radiator clamps to clamp the glass up. It rides on a little metal rod. But in this cheap piece of crap, everything's plastic. So I had to take the plastic off, and since there's no metal rod going up, we're going to use the metal that holds the windows up that's broken. There's still the cable, and we're going to wrap the cable around and bolt it in place so the window stays up. Customer doesn't buy whole motor, window regulator assembly. This is just plastic crap, one of the worst designs ever. And you'd know if anybody would build something like this, it would be Chrysler. So now a wire will hold it up and it won't fall down. We'll just bolt this back on. Then after you snap it all together, voila, now I got a window that at least is up. You can get in and out, you just can't roll the window down anymore. But then again, you didn't have to spend a small fortune on a motor and regulator assembly. You can just wire it up like I did with the stainless steel wire. Car's not worth much anyways. As you can see, it's got 204,000 miles on it, being a Chrysler. It is certainly on its last legs, considering the right rear door's all smashed in and doesn't open anymore. Don't want to put much money into this thing. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Matthew Yim says, why is it people are paying so much for Toyota Tacomas and 4Runners, even if the base model without the V6? Here's an analogy. Gold is also very expensive because it lasts forever, right? It doesn't wear out. It just sits there, doesn't deteriorate or anything. And it's worth a lot of money. People use it for lots of things. Well, the Toyotas are the same way. They last so long, they're expensive. It's actually a good thing because then you get an idea, hey, they last that long, hey, they're still worth money. You can get them used and still have a good vehicle. Even if you bought one that, say, the transmission's wearing out. Then, of course, you would pay a lot less, and then you could just have another transmission put in. Sure, you're going to spend thousands of dollars, but price a brand new one. They cost a fortune too. And they last so long. I see Tacomas and 4Runners with 500,000 miles on them all the time. I've seen one with 1,000,000 miles on it personally. And I've read some that have 2 or 3 million on it. I didn't see those, so I can't really know if that's true or not. But I've seen 1,000,000 miles myself. They're going to last that long. That's why they're so expensive, because they hold up. Just like you got a good house in a good location, it's going to go for a lot of money, right? Shack in a bad part of town, yeah, it's going to be cheaper. Well, you want a shack in a bad part of town, get yourself a Fiat 500. Rip Hoppers, trying to find a good car. Should I buy a Scion, he says. Here's what I'm looking at. 05 Buick LaCrosse, 93,000 miles. 2003 Saturn Vue, 190,000. 2004 Volvo S40, 150. 2009 Scion Base, 105,000 miles. 2008 Mercury Grand Marquis, 94,000 miles. Or 2006 Mitsubishi Endeavor with 219,000 miles. Well, really, the Scion XBs are really well-made vehicles with 105,000 miles. If all things are kind of the same, the prices you spend it, I would definitely get that. But, and this might sound kind of strange, if you don't mind a little bit worse gas mileage, the Mercury Grand Marquis with 94,000 miles, sure, it has the image of a grandpa car, but it can last a really long time. 05 Buick LaCrosse with 93,000 miles could also be a decent car. Now, odds are you could probably get the Mercury or the Buick cheaper. If you could get a lot cheaper, it might not be a bad idea, but if all things considered they're all in the same price range, I get the Scion, because those XBs can last 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles. And even though they don't make Scions anymore, they're just Toyotas. Toyota still has parts for them. It was just a name-only type thing that they did with Scion. They still make almost the same cars, but they call them Toyotas again, like they should have in the first place. Ryan says, I got an 09 Sienna and a 2010 Yukon. My grandpa said you go to the car wash, open hood, leave the car running, spray the engine under the hood. A clean engine runs cleaner. But I saw in a video you said not to do that. My engine bay is dirty and full of salt. How do I clean the bay without damaging anything? Rust can damage things, but it's not going to damage your engine or your transmission. Those are thick metal. It's just superficial corrosion you see. Especially you look at any modern stuff, there's a lot of aluminum heads, aluminum pieces all over the place, and you'll see it gets white. That's the superficial corrosion on the outside. It's not really hurting anything on thick metal parts. Now, you don't want to get any of the electronics wet. Both of those, 09 Sienna, GMC Yukon, there's electronics everywhere. You get under the hood and start spraying water, you're asking for trouble. You really don't have to worry about it. Now, if you're talking about the inner fenders, those you want to rinse all out and clean off. I just recently made a video on that that's going to be uploaded soon. But don't worry about the engine parts and things like that. You don't want to be spraying water under there. If you want to be a fanatic about it, take it to a detail shop. If you want it cleaned under there, I'd advise you to pay a pro and first ask them, do you have insurance in case you mess something up, and have them show you the insurance policy, because then if they do, then that will pay for the damage that they do, because you really got to know what you're doing to get under there and clean anything. But like I say, the engine stuff doesn't really need it. But even if you're spraying like the top of the fenders under the hood, when you open the hood, there's electronics everywhere, and you get that stuff wet and create maelstrom of problems down the line. So don't do it. Thomas R. says, I got an O2 Envoy. The RPM gauge stopped working. It's not required, but what are the things to check so it can be fixed? Unfortunately for you, all the times I saw those break, it was the actual RPM gauge in the dash. They cost a fortune from GM. It's all computer run. In the olden days, they were a lot simpler. A couple wires coming off a distributor distributor, you could check it. Those things don't have distributors on them. Everything's run by computer, the ignition system too. But every time I've seen one of those break, it was the dash unit. They cost so much money, you'll probably live without it. Or if you really want one, you could just buy one of those cool racing dash mounted tachometers for like $50 on Amazon, and it comes with the directions. You could just wire it into your system, and then you have a cool racing one sitting on the top. But if you want the one in the dash, you'd have to replace the whole unit, and it costs a small fortune. It can't be a fuse because the fuse operates the whole dash, and if everything wasn't working, yeah. But if the only thing that's not working is the tachometer for RPMs, then that's broken itself. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.